Okay, so moving on. We're going back to the king of Judah now, down in 2 Kings chapter 14. In the second year of Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, began to reign. Remember, Joash, king of Judah, was assassinated. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. A good chunk of that time he was actually a captive, though. His mother's name was Jehoadin. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. That's a very strange statement to make, because practically everything we read about this guy in Kings and Chronicles is bad. Okay, overall it says he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, which again doesn't seem to fit what we know about him, because practically everything we read about him is bad, but not as his father David had done. In everything, he followed the example of his father Joash. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. After the kingdom was firmly in his grasp, so apparently remember, his father was assassinated. So there may have been a little mini rebellion that occurred at that time that he had to deal with. However long that took, I don't know. But apparently he had to deal with some sort of rebellion that he had to put down. So after the kingdom was firmly in his grasp, he executed the officials who had murdered his father the king. Yet he did not put the sons of the assassins to death, in accordance with what is written in the book of the law of Moses, where the Lord commanded, "Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sins." That's Deuteronomy 24:16. We haven't gotten too many direct quotes so far as we have read through the Old Testament. We have not gotten too many direct quotes of earlier sections of the Bible. We will get into this a lot later. The New Testament will do this a lot. But we haven't seen that so much so far. So let's go to Deuteronomy 24:16. Anytime we do see that, and again, we haven't really seen it at all yet, but anytime we do, it's always helpful to flip back to that part in our scriptures and see that verse in its original context, understand how it's being used by the people in our current context. Deuteronomy 24, verse 16 says, this is in a long series of miscellaneous laws. Where am I? Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. That's pretty much a direct quote. And that's in a series of just random miscellaneous laws near the end of the law section of Deuteronomy. So he is following the Torah in this case. I guess it's one thing that makes him good. He is following the Torah not to go beyond and take vengeance on the families of the men who killed his father. Amaziah, was the one who defeated 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and captured Selah in battle, calling it Joktheel, the name it has to this day. Now, the Edomites had been subjugated by David way back in the day. They rebelled, and then Jehoshaphat fought them again in his day. And then his son Jehoram let them escape. Jehoram, of course, was a bad guy who married Athaliah. Let's see here, where is Jehoram? Let's see here. Chapter 8, verse 20, in the time of Jehoram, Edom rebelled against Judah and set up its own king, and Jehoram was not able to put them back under subjugation. So that has to wait the days of Amaziah, who subjugates the Edomites again. So he defeated 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and captured Selah in battle, calling it Joktheel, the name it has to this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Joash, son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, with the challenge, "Come, meet me face to face." We're going to get a lot more context about this in 2 Chronicles to fill in the story of exactly why this is happening. But Joash, king of Israel, replied to Amaziah, king of Judah, thistle in Lebanon sent a message to a cedar, a big giant tree in Lebanon. Give your daughter to my son in marriage. Then a wild beast in Lebanon came along and trampled the thistle underfoot. So he's calling this king of Judah a little thistle. You have indeed defeated Edom, and now you are arrogant. Glory in your victory, but stay at home. Why ask for trouble and cause your own downfall and that of Judah also? So Joash, king of Israel, is completely confident he can defeat Amaziah, king of Judah. Now, in the days of Jehoahaz, oh boy, where are we here? Okay, in the days of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, Israel's army was pretty well demolished. Previous chapter, verse 7, nothing had been left of the army of Jehoahaz except 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. For the king of Aram had destroyed the rest and made them like a dust at threshing time. But Joash apparently has been successful in rebuilding his army and is now significantly more powerful than the king of Judah, and is completely confident that he will defeat the king of Judah if they came to war with each other. Amaziah, however, would not listen. So Jehoash, king of Israel, attacked. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, faced each other in Beth Shemesh in Judah. So it's Amaziah's home turf. He has a home field advantage, or at least he should. Judah was routed by Israel, and every man fled to his home. Jehoash, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then Jehoash went to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, a section about 600 feet long. That's a section to the north of the city, which symbolizes Jerusalem's vulnerability to the northern attackers, which, of course, Israel is north of Jerusalem. He took all the gold and silver and all the artifacts found in the temple of the articles found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. So this temple has been looted several times. We just got done reading about the previous guy giving up his treasures to buy off the king of Aram from attacking him. Now somebody else is sacking it to loot the treasure. Oh, I got confused there, my tongue. Sacking it to loot the treasure. This temple has been looted several times. He also took hostages and returned to Samaria. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoash, what he did and his achievements, including his war against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash rested with his fathers and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jeroboam his son succeeded him as king. Let's go ahead and flip over now to 2 Chronicles and read that. Okay, we'll get a lot more information about this incident in 2 Chronicles than we did in 2 Kings. 2 Chronicles 25. Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Jehoaddin. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not wholeheartedly. After the kingdom was firmly in his control, he executed the officials who had murdered his father, the king. Yet he did not put their sons to death, but acted in accordance with what was written in the law, in the book of Moses, where the Lord commanded, "Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sins." By the way, this is a direct quote from the book of Deuteronomy, so we can say pretty confidently that at least at the time that the book of Kings was compiled, they had the book of Deuteronomy and considered it part of the works of Moses. There's a lot of people who want to say Deuteronomy was added a long time later, but the fact that we're quoting from Deuteronomy here in Chronicles and in Kings, it's pretty strong evidence that these people didn't see it that way. Amaziah called the people of Judah together and assigned them, according to their families, to commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds for all Judah and Benjamin. So Benjamin is now part of Judah. It's allied with Judah. Benjamin will end up being one of the southern tribes. It'll be considered one of the tribes of the southern. Benjamin was north of Judah and south of Israel. So it was kind of like the border between Judah and Israel. And it's always been kind of fuzzy about where their loyalties lay. Remember, they were originally the kingly tribe. Saul was from Benjamin. They didn't like the Judahites taking the kingship from them in the days of David. And you can go back farther than that. The Benjamites corrupted their own bloodlines way back at the beginning of the early days of the Judges, when they acted so dishonorably that they were pretty much wiped out by the rest of the nation in the Civil War, and only had a few hundred left, and they had to marry women of other tribes. So there hasn't actually been even a pure-blooded Benjamite since then. But they are now firmly on the side of Judah. They fought against Judah quite a bit before, but they are now firmly on the side of Judah. He, Amaziah, then mustered those 20 years old or more, and found that there were 300,000 men ready for military service, able to handle the spear and shield. He also hired 100,000 fighting men from Israel for 100 talents of silver. So he had 300,000 native fighting men, but he wasn't comfortable with that. He wanted more, so he hired 100,000 from Israel. But a man of God came to him and said, O king, these troops from Israel must not march with you, for the Lord is not with Israel, not with any of the people of Ephraim. Now this is another, okay, so we've had two pretty significant details that have been kind of hidden in this section here. First, we read about Judah and Benjamin being kind of aligned now and basically being part of the same southern nation. Okay? And now we hear Israel and Ephraim being equated as the same thing. So the northern kingdom of Israel is now being dominated by and almost going by exclusively the name of Ephraim, which is one of the tribes of the northern kingdom. That's important too, because when we get into some of those prophets that we're going to be talking about later, they're going to be referring to Ephraim and talking about it instead of Israel, because they're using it as a name for Israel. That's how dominant the tribe of Ephraim has become within the northern kingdom of Israel. It's starting to become just Ephraim. They're starting to refer to Israel as Ephraim. Even if you go and fight courageously in battle, God will overthrow you before the enemy, for God has the power to help or to overthrow. Amaziah asked the man of God, but what about the 100 talents I paid for the Israelite troops? Now, he's willing to send these guys back. He paid a lot of money for them. Now what does he do? The man of God replied, the Lord can give you much more than that. He's referring to spoils in battle. So you give that money back, and you'll get a lot more back than that when you go to battle and get the spoils of battle. So Amaziah dismissed the troops who had come to him from Ephraim. Again, we're referring to Ephraim, not Israel here. And sent them home. They were furious with Judah and left for home in a great rage. They wanted some of those spoils too. Now the king is going to get back his money. Okay, so these troops are not going to get back any money from this deal. Okay, it's like Amaziah is going to have to pay back the king of Israel for these troops, but these troops themselves aren't going to get anything. They were counting on being part of this battle and getting part of the plunder of this battle, and they're not going to get that now. That's why they're in a great rage. Amaziah then marshaled his strength and led his army to the valley of Salt, where he killed 10,000 men of Seir. The army of Judah also captured 10,000 men alive, took them to the top of a cliff, and threw them down, so that all of them were dashed to pieces. Just for good measure, huh? Just to show how big and tough we are. Meanwhile, the troops that Amaziah had sent back and had not allowed to take part in the war raided Judean towns from Samaria to Beth Horon. They killed 3,000 people and carried off great quantities of plunder. They weren't going to get any plunder from the Edomites, so they're just going to get it from the Judahites. When Amaziah returned from slaughtering the Edomites, he brought back the gods of the people of Seir. He set them up as his own gods, bowed down to them, and burned sacrifices to them. The anger of the Lord burned against Amaziah, and he sent a prophet to him who said, Why do you consult this people's gods, which could not even save their own people from your hand? While he was still speaking, the king said to him, the king is not going to answer this question. The king is not going to. I don't know why he did it. I presume he did it because he was mad at God for making him send the Israelite troops back. That's my presumption, but I don't know. He was asked, but he's not going to answer. He's going to get mad instead. Well, while he was still speaking, the king said to him, have we appointed you an advisor to the king? Stop! Why be struck down? We saw that earlier with Joash striking down. I mean, this is Joash's son. Joash did it to Zechariah. This guy could do it to this guy. Whoever this prophet is, he's not given a name. So the prophet stopped and said, I know that God is determined to destroy you, because you have done this and have not listened to my counsel. After Amaziah, king of Judah, consulted his advisors, he sent this challenge to Joash, son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel. Come, meet me face to face. He has bad advisors. Another king that has bad advisors. We've seen a lot of these guys by now. Rehoboam had bad advisors. Joash listened to the royal council after Jehoiada died. Here's another king listening to bad advice. He wants his money back. I think he wants his money back. I think he's upset and annoyed that he had to spend up this money without getting anything for it. And he's confident because he beat Edom. He wants to beat Israel now. But Jehoash, king of Israel, he also stared down God. You know, if you think about it, he challenged the prophet of God, and the prophet of God left. So he's, I think, walking pretty high at this point. He's got a spring in his step. But Jehoash, king of Israel, replied to Amaziah, king of Judah, a thistle in Lebanon sent a message to a cedar in Lebanon, give your daughter to my son in marriage. Or give your daughter to my son in marriage. I'm trying to make my voice high and indicate a tiny pipsqueak of a person. I did that the first time. I tried to do it again here. Then a wild beast in Lebanon came along and trampled the thistle underfoot. You say to yourself that you have defeated Edom, and now you are arrogant and proud. But stay at home. Why ask for trouble, and cause your own downfall and that of Judah also? Amaziah, however, would not listen. But God so worked that he might hand him over to Joash, because they sought the gods of Edom. So Jehoash, king of Israel, attacked. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, faced each other at Beth Shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by Israel, and every man fled to his home. Jehoash, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then Jehoash brought him to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, a section about 600 feet long. It's a pretty long section of wall. He took all the gold and silver and all the articles found in the temple of God that had been in the care of Obed-Edom, together with the palace treasures and the hostages, and returned to Israel. So what's Obed-Edom? Okay, let's read about Obed-Edom. Remember that guy? Obed-Edom was the guy that got the Ark of the Covenant delivered to him in the days of David, while they were bringing it back to Jerusalem after it had been given back by the Philistines. Let's see here. Hang on a second. I gotta get my fingers free here so I can turn the pages. Obed-Edom was the guy who took care of the ark. His household took care of the ark while they were trying to get it to Jerusalem, but weren't sure how to do so safely. 1 Chronicles 15. Let's back up a bit. Actually, hang on. So 1 Chronicles 13, they first try to take it. That's where they have the stumbling. They're not doing it correctly. They're not carrying the ark like they're supposed to, because they honestly just don't know. They haven't consulted the Lord or the written word to know how to do it. And so a guy named Uzziah dies, who gets he touches it because he sees it's about to fall. First Chronicles 13, verse 13, David did not take the ark to be with him in the city of David, and so he took it aside to the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in the house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed his household and everything he had. Eventually they do take it to Jerusalem. Eventually they do. And then Obed-Edom gets assigned to be one of the gatekeepers. Where are you, Obed-Edom? A lot of names here. There we are. First Chronicles 26 is about the divisions of the gatekeepers. First Chronicles 26:15, the lot for the south gate fell to Obed-Edom, and the lot for the storehouse fell to his sons. So Obed-Edom was a Levite who housed the ark for a period of time while they were trying to get it to Jerusalem. Eventually his family got installed as gatekeepers. And in this case, they were still guarding some of the treasure of the temple. Back to Second Chronicles, 25, verse 24. He, Joash, the king of Israel, took all the gold and silver and all the articles found in the temple of God that had been in the care of Obed-Edom, together with the palace treasures and the hostages, and returned to Samaria. Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, lived for 15 years after the death of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel. He was probably released when Joash died. Probably. As for the other events of Amaziah's reign from beginning to end, are they not written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? From the time that Amaziah turned away from following the Lord, they conspired against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent men after him to Lachish and killed him there. So this is the second king in a row that's been killed in a conspiracy because he turned his back on the Lord. He was brought back by horse and was buried with his fathers in the city of Judah. The city of Judah. Interesting. We haven't heard it called that very often. Let's continue the story through the end of 2 Kings 14, and then we'll be done for the day. 2 Kings, verse 17. Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, lived for 15 years after the death of Jehoash, son of Jehoash, king of Israel. As to the other events in Amaziah's reign, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? They conspired against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent men after him to Lachish and killed him there. He was brought back by horse and was buried in Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. That's more typical. In the other account, we saw the city of Judah. Here we see it called its more typical name of the city of David. Then all the people of Judah took Azariah, who is also known as Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in place of his father Amaziah. He was the one who rebuilt Elath and restored it to Judah after Amaziah rested with his fathers. That's a long time after, by the way. This is kind of a jumbled up account, okay? Azariah, or Uzziah, has a long co-regency period with his father because his father will be alive for a period of time after Uzziah is 16 and becomes crowned by the people. That probably happened when his father was captured and arrested and taken to Israel as a prisoner. They needed a king. They set the 16-year-old on the throne. His father is still alive and would come back, and would be some form of co-regency there for a period of years. It's confusing. It's written in a confusing way, but this 16-year-old is functioning as king. It's better than a 7-year-old. Okay, so this whole thing about rebuilding Elath and all that, like that's, and Amaziah resting, like that's sometime down the road. That's not all happening when he's 16 years old or anything like that. In the 15th year of Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, king of Israel, became king in Samaria. This is Jeroboam II. This is not the same guy as before. And he reigned 41 years. He did evil in the eyes. This is going to be the greatest king in the northern kingdom, by the way. This is the guy who is, of all the kings of Israel, this is going to be the guy who actually has the most worldly success as king. But he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and did not turn away from any of the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. He was the one who restored the boundaries of Israel, from Lebo Hamath to the sea of the Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, in accordance with the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, spoken through his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath-Hepher. He has a book in the Bible about him. We're going to be actually reading that next. Not today, though, but next time. I don't know when he stated that prophecy. Sometime in the beginning of Jeroboam's reign, or maybe before Jeroboam's reign. I'm not really clear. It doesn't say. He just said it, and it happened in the days of Jeroboam. Don't know when he said it, but it happened in the days of Jeroboam. The Lord had seen how bitterly everyone in Israel, whether slave or free, was suffering, and there was no one to help them. He sent them a deliverer before, probably an Assyrian king, although we don't really know. And since the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, son of Jehoash. So Jeroboam, even though he is evil and wicked and is not turning away from the national sins of Israel, has been given strength by God to save Israel, so that their suffering would cease, at least for a period of time. As to the other events of Jeroboam's reign, all he did, and his military achievements, and he had plenty of those, including how he recovered for Israel both Damascus and Hamath, which had belonged to Yaudi, or Judah. Are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jeroboam rested with his fathers, the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son succeeded him as king. So we're going to leave it off there for now. We're going to pause there for a while and read some of the prophetic books next. We're going to be reading Jonah and Amos, and we're also going to be setting the stage for Hosea and Isaiah. Okay, because now we're really going to see these prophets start coming along one after another, still speaking to the people and writing down their prophecies for future generations. Because the shift is going to, because now we're entering a period of prosperity again. Jeroboam ushers in a 40 to 50 year period of prosperity for both the north and the south. So they've been oppressed now for most of the 800s BC. Okay, Judah had some peace in the days of Jehoshaphat, but for the most part, the kingdoms have been suffering ever since they split. And the last 100+ years have been a very unpleasant 100+ years for the most part. Ahab was a fairly strong king military-wise, but he was very corrupt and evil, and his wife was even worse. Jehoshaphat was a good king and led to peace in his time for a few years. But for the most part, the last 100+ years have been pretty rough. The next 40 to 50 years are going to be pretty good, prosperity-wise. But that's not going to help either. Whether it's hard times and judgment and suffering, or blessing and prosperity, in either case, a lesson is not going to be learned. So now that they're going to be entering a period of prosperity, God's really going to be starting to send them the prophets to warn them about the judgment to come, and also offer words of hope about the restoration to come after that even. So we're really going to see that start to pick up now. Next, we're going to be reading the book of Jonah. After that, we're going to be reading the book of Amos. Then we're going to be reading another chapter or two out of Kings and Chronicles, and then focusing on Hosea and Isaiah. Isaiah, of course, being a long book. So we're really going to be focusing, we're going to be having a lot of these. We've had one so far. We had Joel, who I can't say for certain came along during that time, but it seems like it's a good place for him. But now we're really going to be having a lot of these come one after the other. And it's going to take us a while to get through. We're only a few chapters away from finishing the book of 2 Kings. But it's going to take us a while to get through that because so many of those prophets come in the middle of that. And we're going to be detouring and reading those as we go. So even though we're only a few chapters away from finishing the historical books, we're actually a long way from actually getting to the end. because we're going to have so many detours into the prophetic books along the way. But the days of Jeroboam in Israel and Uzziah in Judah were prosperous. They both had long reigns. Jeroboam reigned for 41 years. Uzziah reigned for 52 years, although some of that was co-regency of his father, and then later on with his son. And in both cases, both of them were very successful in everything they did. Uzziah actually was successful for a long time because he was faithful to the Lord, and the Lord was blessing him because of that. Jeroboam was successful in spite of not being faithful to the Lord. So both kings were successful for a long period of time, and both kingdoms prospered. And that's the context of the ministry of the next few prophets we're going to be reading.